Thank you, Chair. So moving on to page 11, PFI street lighting contract. Again, under the leadership of the street scene director here, who can take any questions. But I'll just run through the findings quickly. We found weaknesses around the fact that the contract manager had taken out some of the PIs that were being managed, performance was being managed against, and we were expecting senior management oversight and agreement of those changes being made. And we also found that the annual service report had not been completed for the entire year, and that again there was a lack of senior management scrutiny of that service report. And so in the context of this contract management framework that we're trying to make sure is in place across all council contracts, we saw that as a priority one recommendation which the service is now going to take forward.
Thank you, welcome, thank you. I'm going to, don't you want to comment at all before I ask questions? Do you want to comment at all?
Thank you, Chairman, if I could. So, the audit was undertaken, obviously, more recently, so street lighting has become my responsibility as of the 1st of April for last year. So I think quite timely, but it enabled me also to make sure that the contract was up and running properly, and then actually drew a line in the sand from which then within street scene management we can tackle the issues that was raised. I think auditors would also acknowledge that the actual contract itself, when it was audited previously, gave a very similar limited assurance, but we are seeing a more positive direction of travel now. Certainly the limited assurance that was given previously has improved, and auditors are saying that it's in a better satisfactory position. The other thing I would also comment is that in terms of the street scene structure, I've actually put an additional management tier in place. So there's now a parking and infrastructure manager, which the street lighting contract manager will report to provide that oversight and management scrutiny of the contract as it goes forward. Obviously, we're only in year 6, 25-year contracts, so we've got some considerable.
So we'll go through parking.
So the actual manager will manage the street lighting contract as well as the NSL contract, so they have oversight over both contracts within street scene. So making best use of those skills, those contract management skills, but monitoring 2 contracts.
And that will be a bonded officer.
It's a bonded officer, yes.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so 25-year contract. So if there is underperformance on the contract, what measures can we put in place to rectify the underperformance?
Thank you, Chairman. I think the audit recognises that there has been no underperformance by the contractor in this process. And certainly the infrastructure programme that the contractor has put in place has completed, and we're now into the maintenance stage of that contract. So they've renewed all the lighting columns and lights that we have, and we're now into the latter half of the maintenance stage. Certainly the issues that are raised here within the audit also have no impact on the financial and criteria by which the contract was paid. So these are reporting and data issues, and they don't reflect at all on what the payment mechanism and the contract mechanism for that, and that was all within the audit was examined and found to be satisfactory. It's purely the issue of the final report or the annual report, and then some mechanisms that the contract manager has put in place actually to transition us from completing those first 5 years of infrastructure improvements to the maintenance regime.
Okay.
Yes.
Very simplistically then, street lighting would seem to be a sort of self-contained contract, which one would have thought would be fairly straightforward on the one hand for the suppliers to supply and do their bit, and for us to monitor with, you were saying that there wasn't a proper maintenance and inspection procedure going on, is that correct?
I don't think that's correct. Is that from?
You said the contract manager wasn't necessarily, there wasn't an inspection regime, I thought I picked up.
So, sorry, what I said was that the contract manager had taken the decision to remove a couple of the performance indicators that were being
Oh, right, okay, so
monitored.
that was it. Not necessarily that they haven't been done, but the
No.
performance indicators.
So there's no longer a requirement for the contractor to provide evidence against those indicators.
Yes.
And we would expect senior management to approve the removal of the
But one would have thought it would be a simple enough contract for the suppliers to supply and us to monitor, which is why it surprises me that why it is not substantial. Again, is there anything different in our competence, the audit competence level is not substantial? Is there anything different in the audit that you've done now than has been done previously? Has it been more incisive? Are we getting more efficient at doing the audits?
I think, again, it probably comes down partly to the direction of travel assessment and the fact that the scope for the audit that was done 2 years ago will have been slightly different to the scope of this year's audit. And the findings this year, the priority one finding, of which there was only one, was particularly around the design of the controls around the PIs within the contract and the fact that the contract manager removed those without senior management approval of that. So it was very much a design, a lack of control in that.
And as before, what's going to happen between now and April, so that when we come back in April, this is possibly moved up from limited to satisfactory?
What do you think?
Chairman, so I have already brought the parking infrastructure manager in place to advise that oversight. The annual report will be provided, will be examined and signed off. And the other particular performance indicators here, and it's quite, Councillor, so I know it seems quite simple, but it's quite complex, quite complex contracts and complex mechanisms that we have here. So
everything seems simple from our point of view.
There'll be a process which we go through where we look at those performance indicators. We actually see, I believe, and acknowledge that the infrastructure has been supplied and is up and working. And I think we'll probably sign off that process to say actually that performance indicator is no longer required, but we'll have gone through a proper and robust process to do that. And we really need to do that because this contract is for a long time.
Yes.
We need to be able to flex it to make sure that it's appropriate for 25 years' time. So.
And you say you're putting the manager in place?
Manager's already in place.
Is there a name?
Started on the 1st of December, so you will know him well, Paul Bragg.
Paul, okay.
Yes.
Yes, we know.
Congratulations.
Councillor Patrick, you wanted to say something? But can I just come in? You say the operator and the audit reports as the operator therefore bears significant availability and performance risk. The operator seems to be Lighting Services, BLS, and its subcontracts it to Bruges ENS Limited. Now, I remember this as being Watson, who we gave the contract to years ago. I mean, we seem to have a contract with someone other. And the original contract, I remember this contract. The contract was for removing virtually all the street columns, lighting columns, replacing them, and having a 25-year maintenance agreement. The wonderful financial terms of the agreement was it was going to cost us no more per annum to have new columns under the new contract than it was costing us to maintain the old ones.
But they move them all a bit as well, which causes
And they move them all a bit, yes, and to get the right luminaires or whatever it's called. I remember the contract vividly, but we seem to have different people operating.
Chairman, so it originally started with a company called Webster's.
Webster's.
Yes, and they were a contractor. They then became, it's quite a complex contract, so with bankers, with financiers, Webster's, came together to form Barnet Lighting Services, and they've gone through a number of reiterations of owner, of which I think it's pronounced Bouygues ENS Limited are the current provider. So we've gone through a number of providers as actually a contract of this nature would, because various companies transition them through that process. So we have obviously dedicated contract managers on their side as well as on our side, so we make sure that that communication process is maintained. But yes, it has morphed itself into different companies, and the contract itself names change, but the provision of the contract and the basis of the contract is sound and is the same.
Can I ask, and I'm not sure whether it's an audit point or a management point, but how sound is this for a 25-year contract, or the remains of a 25-year-old contract? Because I thought it was too good to be true when we did the contract financially. I actually pointed that out to the director of environment at the time, Mike. Mike Freestone. And I said it just didn't make sense financially, but it seemed an incredibly good deal. Yes. The guarantee at the time was the bank was going to guarantee it. Now the bank has morphed its service with the lighting.
So, sorry, Chairman, that there's financial bankers along with the provider and the supplier, and they themselves are providing lighting services. So our contract is with financiers as well as actually the contractor as well.
So my question to internal audit is: have we or do we look into the financial standing of this operator who we have doing a 25-year-old contract, and what happens if they go bust?
So it was, the PFI contract will be reviewed at the time that it went live, so at that time it was reviewed by the financial advisors and a review was given at that time, and that process would have evaluated the financial standing.
Yes, Councillor. Councillor Country, then Councillor.
So you asked